Hey everyone, it's Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding, and still working on the Bismarck, obviously. Not quite done with that. I have some motors ordered, so they're going to be a couple weeks till they get here, and some other things that I need. So in the meantime, I'm going to start working on the Olympia because there's not a lot that I can do on Bismarck until I get my motors, aside from painting some crew. So anyway, definitely looking forward to this build. It's a smaller model, but it is still 1/232nd scale, so kind of a strange scale, but it will enable me to use a lot of brass and stuff that I have left over. But I really want this one for my desk in my office, so that's basically where we're going to be by the end of the video here, and pretty darn happy with it. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I don't think this is going to be a long series, but you know, it should be a fun build, and it's going to be a lot of kit bashing and using leftover parts to make it better, and you know, photo etch and all that kind of stuff. So appreciate you for tuning in, and let's get started. Okay, here we go. So this is a fairly old model. The copyright's 1982, so this is a year younger than me, which is kind of cool. So I got some add-on stuff for it. Not a ton of add-ons, but I'm going to use a lot of photo etch from old leftover models and such. I did get a deck for it, so that is here. So we'll be putting that on, obviously. This has the sticky back deck on it. I do not like that, so I will be gluing it in my normal manner. But a couple nice things about this model is the detail on the hull, which you know, I mean, it's an older kit, don't get me wrong, but it actually has decent detail on that end. It had decking detail, but obviously we're going to be covering that with the wood deck. Decals are in decent shape and they look good. It came with a gold anchor or brass anchor. I'm going to end up using some leftover from Bismarck because I got chain here, so we'll use that. I'm actually going to go ahead and put that in this bag so it doesn't get lost. The really cool thing, this is a 2/32nd scale, and a lot of the photo etch that I have is 1/200, so this will be close. So like things like these oars, I have photo etch for them that I'll be able to use. Just a lot of little things that we'll be able to kind of do as we're going with it. So it's kind of cool. I'm just trying to get down to the hull here. There's a little stand here. And I actually got this model. A lot of my model builds, I don't necessarily have a plan for where they're going to end up. This one I do. I actually want this on my desk in my office, so that is the intent of this. Now, I don't know if I'll end up using that stand or not. I might use it, or I might make one. I don't know yet. So we'll kind of figure that out as we're going. But yeah, we're gonna obviously start with the hull. Now there's a whole lot of pieces that have come off the sprue in here, you can see. So I'm gonna leave them in the bag so they don't get lost. But here you go. You can see it does have a nice bit of detailing with the hull. So I'm pretty happy about that. It does have some flash here, but nothing major, excuse me. So I'm going to get the directions. It looks like it has two different sets of directions, which is strange. Maybe this might be just something about the history of it. Okay, yeah, this is the history. Okay, previous owner sent me the history. That's kind of cool. And a card. Cool, postcard. So let's see here. The directions actually, these aren't bad. I've seen worse. So we start with our hull. So I'm going to paint that first, and then we have some guns. So giddy up. Yeah, this, I really don't know about this stand. So these are supposed to go into it. That is not my style at all. I think I'm going to cut them off. I really doubt I'm using this stand. But anyway, first up is going to be painting. So we're going to get this ready to go. Let me put my parts back in here and set this stuff over on the other table so we can get working on the hull. That worked well. Okay, so first up, I'm going to cut these off. I already decided. Now, this has these on here, which are meant to be fencing, where you end up tying a string onto them. I don't know if I'm going to do that either, because I have a lot of photo etch railing left. I want to look at pictures of this, of the real ship, to see what it has for a railing, because if it is like that, then I guess I'll use them, but I don't know. It just does not seem real or accurate, and I might be wrong, but we'll see. Okay. Now I want to paint this in one piece, basically, so I want to get it cleaned up here, and then I'll glue it together. We have a little bit of flashing on the front here. This really doesn't need a whole lot of work before paint, which is kind of nice. A lot of my builds, I mean, granted, I do a lot of modification to most of my builds, so they take a lot more effort before painting the hull. But this one, you know, it's going to be a static model too, so it's not like we're installing motors in it or probably even lighting. I don't really see a need to light it. There's not really even that many portholes or anything in it. Actually, there are portholes in it. And now I'm thinking about lighting it. But I don't know yet. I'll decide as I go. Knocked one of those little fence rails off. Alright, so I'm going to work on sanding down or filing down this side of it a while. And then I'll go ahead and pause it, and we'll come back here in a minute. Okay, so I went ahead and drilled out the holes on this side, and I'm going to go ahead and do that over here. Real easy, obviously. There's not that many, and it doesn't take long. And I do like the fact that it has the lips around the portholes molded in. I may even have brass ones that will fit this and make it look even better, but I'll have to double check. Now I look at some of these panels here too, and I think I have something that may work for that in my photo etch, or be very close to it. But if not, I mean, they're actually decently molded, So I don't really see too big of an issue with keeping them. They made 2 different kits of this ship. One was obviously the Revell one here, but another one was made by Lifelike, and I bought that one on accident. I just was looking at it because I figured, oh, I'll use the best of the 2, and they're both 1/232 scale. That Lifelike kit is absolutely terrible. I mean, there is no detail whatsoever. So I'll show you a comparison here. I'll probably end up selling this, or I don't know, maybe make it into a bath toy for a kid. It's not good, but the detail difference is astounding in how bad it is. But it is the same scale. But my gosh, looking at the 2 compared to each other, I mean, there is not even any comparison whatsoever. So I don't see a whole lot that I would be using from this. I might give it to my kid, let him build it. This would be a nice little kid starter model maybe, but yeah, less than impressed. So in any case, we'll be using all of the Revell parts. I do like the picture better. The graphic is good. So that will actually kind of help for painting, because I will use that as a paint guide. The current ship right now, as it sits in Philadelphia, all of this is yellow, which I don't know if that was accurate or not. Looking at the other picture too on the other box, it is also white up here. So I'm going to say they painted it in yellow in Philadelphia as it became a museum ship. So no worries. But that brings us on to painting here. So what I need to do is glue this together, and then I got to find my water line. And that's one thing I do know, the directions are not real specific from a paint guide standpoint, and they're black and white. So luckily, like I said, the ship is still around and you're able to tour it. I've actually seen it multiple times. I'm probably going to take a trip down again soon just to get some pictures and you know, kind of might take a tour on it too, just because I've never been on it, and it would be worthwhile for this build. All right, so if you watch my channel often, you probably know I don't use regular model glue a whole heck of a lot, but for parts like this, I do, just because it will do a better job than super glue or CA glue, whatever you want to call it, of holding the hull together. And this stuff does not hold photo etch really at all, so I use so much photo etch in parts like that this glue just is not very useful to me in many cases. But for here, it is. And I was talking to Robbie, the model boat guy. I know one of the future builds that I'm going to be doing, because this build obviously is not going to take very long, but one of the future builds that I'm getting ready to do and actually procuring parts for right now is the USS Arizona. And I'm really considering not doing very much of anything in the way of aftermarket parts and just running what Trumpeter has sent and supplied. And part of the reason for that is, you know, there's times that I will get parts, and some of us guys that do these YouTube channels will get parts for free or discounted, you know, whatever, because they want us to show their product. But a lot of our viewers don't have that luxury. So, you know, and I'm not saying everything's free, because obviously I can promise you I have a ton of money into some of my ships, even with getting some free stuff. But in any case, most of our viewers aren't doing that or getting that, so it would be kind of nice just to build one out of the box and not do all these add-ons and, you know, crazy stuff that we do. So I may end up doing that with the Arizona. The only exception, though, the wood decks, I don't know. I know you can paint wood. I know you can paint decks and make them look pretty good, but I just don't think they're, I don't know. I don't think they have or ever can have the same look as real wood has, and that's really the awesome point about wooden decks. So I do think I will end up going with real wood on them, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kicking it around. I may or may not end up doing a add-on kit like from MK. But we'll see. But I have time to figure that out. Now, obviously I got that glued, but I'm going to add some down along the bottom here because I don't like, there's still space down there. And since I did decide I'm going to light this, I decided in the last 5 minutes, but I don't want light bleed through, so I think this glue is like borderline drying up. Yeah, so I'm going to squeeze that together real tight and just push some CA down in there. Oh, this one's empty. I buy CA by the case. I'll tell you too, a lot of people will spend a ton of money on CA glue, and I've been using this Harbor Freight glue for years. I have builds that I did a long time ago with Harbor Freight glue, and they still are perfectly fine. That's an interesting reaction. It was actually bubbling and fizzing. I don't know if you could hear that. That was kind of wild. Never had that happen before. I might have put a little bit much on there, but that's okay. Or it was a reaction with the model glue. But it was kind of fun to watch, in person anyway. Okay, so I'm going to do kind of the same thing down here. Let's see if it does it again. Oh, it is. I don't hear it crackling though. A little bit. And the other reason I'm doing this, where I'm combining the two, is because I just want to get it done quicker with the being able to tape it off for paint. Because if we would wait for the model glue to dry, it'd be basically overnight. There we go. Now we got a hole. That was easy. All right, so now I'm going to figure out where our water line is and get ready to tape this off. so that we can paint. Oh, and for paint, a lot of times I'll use one of two things. I'll either use airbrush with, you know, a Vallejo paint, which is right here. What color is that? That's a Hull Red. Or a lot of times, if I don't have any of that left over, simple primer from Rust-Oleum does a very, very good job, and that's what I'm going to end up using on this one. So this is just Ruddy Red or Flat Red primer. So we're going to paint with that, and I'm going to paint the white first because obviously the red will be harder to cover. I'm sorry, the white will be harder to cover than the, I'm saying that backwards, but I think you know what I mean. Covering the white with the red will be harder than covering the red with the white. So that's how I'm going to do it. All right, so anyway, for painting, I'm also going to just use a spray paint on that too. So I'm going to go ahead and get this sprayed, and then we will, I don't like how that did. Once I get it sprayed, then we will get our waterline taped off and ready to spray. All right, I'll be back. Okay, so we got our clear coat on. Now, I took a look at this, and there is actually a boot stripe of brighter red. So we're going to go bright red for a line, and then it'll be our anti-fouling paint underneath it. So it just means more taping, but that's okay. We'll get it done. So I'm going to use my better tape. I guess we'll call it better tape. Basically to set off my line and do the top first. So I'm basically going to go right there. I'm looking at the pictures. The line should be just below the steps that were there. Not steps, but the ladder thing on the side, and then it comes right out to the just below the hose hole up here. So with all of the details for the rivets that are on this, it's going to be real important that I'm pushing very hard so we have limited bleed under the tape, because there's nothing worse than that happening. Now I want to be real careful around that decal. I just don't want to agitate it in any way that it could come off. And I'll probably just use a separate type piece of tape over it once I'm ready to do that part of the taping. Okay, so Sorry, I know I'm not really talking that much. I'm kind of concentrating as I'm doing this. And I just want to make sure that I'm even, which I do have a little bit going up right there, so I need to add a piece of tape. Not much, but very slightly it goes up. Okay. Uh-oh. The hardest part of this is always making sure you're straight and not like getting those little creaks that kind of end up in your tape. So I'm gonna keep taping and I'll come back before I paint and show you what we got. Okay, so there we go. We are taped off. Now, I looked at a couple different pictures that all depict it being bright red underneath, but I know that that would be impossible. So basically all anti-fouling paint is made with, I forget what the chemical is, but it, especially during that time frame, that it would have came out as kind of a rust red color. So I still feel perfectly fine in doing it the way I'm going to do it. So anyway, I'm getting ready to spray this and I'll be back. Okay, so we are painted. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with my clear coat as soon as this dries. This paint goes fairly quick though drying, so it should only be a minute or two. I'll let that dry and then we will peel this off. And then we will retape to do our bottom. Okay, so while I sprayed my clear, I also went ahead and sprayed it on the decking too, so that will be ready when we get to that point. So I'm going to just uncover our tape here. And boy, I'm knocking off these little things that stick up quite a bit. And I had a little bit of bleed through right there, so I'm going to touch up the white, just a touch. And up here too. I hate when that happens. I didn't look at the pictures yet for that fencing to see if it is a fence or if I'm using what they have here, but like I said, a lot of them are getting knocked off here. So I would much rather use a photo etch fence, but I want to keep it looking fairly accurate. Okay, here we go. Now, I usually find when I do this to kind of pull the tape this way, because I always worry about peeling the layer that I just painted off, and it tends not to do that as bad if you kind of do this angle. A little bit of bleed right there, I'll have to touch up. Sorry, I know I'm probably not getting the best angles here. Yeah, I got a little bit right there too. Not terrible though. I've done worse. Okay, I'll take it. Okay, now we gotta peel off the bottom here. And this isn't as important because there's no paint underneath it yet. So I can just kind of rip it. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to do the touch up on the white here in a couple spots that I need to, letting this dry a little bit more, and then we'll tape off the red. So I'll be back. Okay, so I went ahead and taped this off camera, but we're ready to go on that end. The one thing I didn't show earlier, I added the rudder on here, and this should have been done when it was separate so that it moved, but I don't really care about it moving, so I ended up just gluing it in. I'll have to paint the top there red. I'll just do that with a brush once we're done here, but in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and spray this, and then I will come back, we'll untape it, and pretty much wrap up this video, because we're probably actually getting to the point where it's getting fairly long, but I wanted to get the hull at least done for part one. Okay, while I'm waiting for them to dry, I'm going to go ahead and paint up the propellers. So these would be bronze, and I don't have any bronze paint, so I mixed up some gold and copper and kind of came up with a color that looks pretty convincing. So that's what I'm going to go with. Since they're smaller, I'm just brushing it, and I didn't know how this would react in my airbrush, so I didn't really want to take a chance in gumming it up. But being that it's small and it's metallic, there really shouldn't be too many brush marks visible, I don't think. I like the color. Came out pretty good, actually. Okay, so get this one painted, and then the hull should be just about dry here in a minute, but I also want to hit it with clear coat before we unwrap it, so won't be too long though. And then we'll put our props on once they're dry, and pretty much wrap up the video. So, like I said, this is going to be a smaller build. I would imagine maybe 7 to 10 videos, somewhere in that neighborhood. But still should be a fun little build. And I don't know, it really depends on how much I start modifying too, but we will see. So here's the hull over here drying, just about there, but I'm going to clear it after it sets the rest of the way here, and then we'll come back and unwrap it. So I'll be back. Okay, so here we go, and this is dry, about dry anyway. It kind of has a little bit of a tack to it still, but not too bad. It'll be okay for what I'm doing here. So obviously first we're going to pull off the upper tape, just like before. And I gotta find where I started the tape at. Over here. Okay. Got a small bit right there I gotta touch up, nothing major. Okay, pretty happy with that. Looks good. Okay, so first things first, I want to touch up the tiny bit of red that I need to on that rudder. I have not done a white hulled model, I don't think ever, now that I'm thinking about it. Okay, there's that. And just want to try to get a little bit there. And that wasn't a bleed issue, that was a taping issue, honestly. I missed it just a tiny bit. Just looking if there's anywhere else. Tiny bit there too. It's kind of nice that it's right on that line there, making it fairly easy to freehand it. A little bit more. And then I'll hit it with clear coat one more time, and any little brush lines that are left will kind of absorb into it, so you won't ever notice that I even did this. Okay. Pretty happy all in all. Cool. Alright, so let us put our props on. They don't have to spin. Well, that's neat. They don't fit in the spot they're supposed to go. Oh, you have to go sideways with them. Okay. They do fit. There we go. Just got to touch up, paint that prop a tiny bit for the shaft. So I will fix that real quick. Where did my paint go? Oh, there it is. So, get that done. There we go. So, that is pretty much it. That is our haul, and this is pretty much going to end video 1. So, I'm pretty happy with it. This is a good start. I know there's some red up on here. I'm not really too worried about that because I have a feeling these aren't staying. But yeah, anyway, I really like it. I think it turned out nice. So looking forward to continuing on as we go. But thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you next time here on LC Model Shipbuilding.